What do Apple, Converse, and Boeing all have in common? They've mastered the game of tariff Tetris, quietly dodging billions in trade duty, legally. And while you're paying more at the store, they're cashing in on global loopholes. Let's break down how it works, and how these strategies reshaped the economy. Tariffs used to be a speed bump. Now they're a wall. Companies started spreading production across multiple countries to reduce their exposure to high tariff regions like China. It's not just about cheaper labor. It's about dodging costly trade fights. Apple currently assembles between 10 to 20% of iPhones in India and aims to source all US-sold iPhones from India by 2026. That's over 60 million units a year. In 2025, they shipped 600 tons, about 1.5 million iPhones, directly from India to the US, just to beat a 145% tariff on Chinese goods. Samsung? 60% of their global smartphones are now made in Vietnam. But with new US tariffs on Vietnam at 46%, even that's under threat. This is why it's called Tariff Tetris. Companies jump from one country to another, trying to stay one step ahead of political crackdowns. Tariff engineering. Think of it like this. Change the label, skip the fee. Companies redesign products to fit into lower tariff categories in the harmonized tariff schedule, which contains over 17,000 product codes. Converse added a thin layer of felt to its sneakers. Suddenly, they're slippers, not shoes. That saved them around 30% per pair. Columbia Sportswear added tiny pockets to reclassify women's blouses. Marvel once fought in court to prove their action figures were toys, not dolls, because dolls had a higher import tax. Ethical gray area? Maybe, but perfectly legal? Absolutely. And now with AI, companies can analyze product specs and optimize designs in real time to squeeze into the cheapest classification possible. When offshoring became too risky, companies brought production closer to home. That's reshoring and nearshoring, like Intel building chip factories in the US or Tesla opening new plants in Mexico. It cuts shipping times, improves quality control, and avoids foreign tariffs, especially under USMCA rules, which allow for zero tariffs if parts are sourced regionally. But here's the catch. Labor costs in the US are 10 times higher than in China. So while politicians love to talk about bringing jobs home, most companies only reshore high-margin products or rely on robotics to cut costs. Big companies also use their weight to negotiate lower costs from suppliers. Walmart and Nike renegotiated contracts during the trade war, pressuring suppliers to eat the tariff hikes. Others went for strategic stockpiling, like Home Depot, which flooded its warehouses before new tariffs kicked in. But that ties up millions in inventory, and if demand drops, you're stuck with goods you can't move. Then there's supplier diversification, spreading your orders across multiple countries to reduce risk, especially when trade policies flip overnight. This is the next level of the game. Companies use obscure customs rules to shrink their tax bill. The first sale rule lets them calculate duties on the original factory price, not the marked up price from a middleman. Duty drawback refunds up to 99% of duties on goods that are eventually exported. And free trade zones? They let you store, assemble, or process goods inside the US without paying tariffs, until you actually sell them. Boeing recovers millions this way. Tesla uses FTZs to store and assemble EV components tariff-free. Gap exploits first sale pricing to reduce apparel costs, but these programs require serious documentation and lawyers on speed dial. These are legal strategies, but the results aren't neutral. In 2025, analysts estimate iPhone prices rose 30 to 43% due to tariff markups, with Apple passing costs to consumers while dodging tariffs themselves. Tariffs were meant to protect domestic jobs, but instead, they've created a corporate maze of workarounds that benefit the giants and burden the little guy. The game of Tariff Tetris continues, and most of us don't even know we're playing. Thanks for watching Think Again. Drop your take in the comments. Should companies be allowed to dodge tariffs if it keeps prices low? Subscribe for more deep dives into trade, power, and policy. And share this with someone who thinks tariffs only hurt foreign countries. Should the big companies be able to get away with this when the smaller companies can't? Let's keep the conversation going.